Hey guys, welcome to Confessions from a Red Couch. I'm your host, Janae, and this is a podcast all about improving the relationship with yourself so you don't take your trash to others, because no one wants your unhealed things. You know, it's our job to fix those before we take them to anybody else. And I am excited to be on the show and to be recorded and to join you guys for another week of all the things that we do here on the show. And I have a wonderful guest. I'm going to have her introduce herself and tell you about her. I'm excited to have her because she talks about purpose, and I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Sadi Porter, also known as Dr. Sadi, the Purpose Promoter. And so my general thing I do, as she said, is I talk about purpose. Like, it's super important for us to know our purpose.
Very.
And, just what we were put on this earth to do, and also how it affects other people.
Yes.
And so that's like kind of a general. I know we have some other stuff to talk about. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you have a book, correct? Do you have a book? You want to talk a little bit about your book?
Yes.
Yay, she has a copy. I love it. I love it when people are prepared. I love it. Yay.
Okay. So my book is called Alone, Not Lonely, Embracing the Power of Being Successfully Single.
There it is.
And so what this book is about is exactly that. There is so much power in being successfully single.
True.
So I came to this because, to me, there's a difference between being single and being successfully single. Like, we can be single, we can be unattached, not have a boo,
right,
whatever.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we're being successful during that time. So.
All right, and we are going to get into that during confession time. So I'm excited about that because it rings true in my life, because that's the way I was before I got married. I made sure to be successfully single.
Yes.
So I really want to get into that. All right, let's talk about our dating tip. I always start off the show with the dating tip, although I'm not dating anymore. I'm married, but I like to give out dating tips because, it's hard out there. I used to be, out in the dating world, and I had fun, but I didn't. But whatever. And so the dating tip that I have for this week is to make sure and understand that it is okay to not be perfect. You do not have to be perfect in order to date. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to have your stuff together. You should, if you're dating, I do feel you should have a job, just a way to sustain yourself, but you're not going to be perfect. So do you have anything to say about that?
Absolutely. Tying into not being perfect, one of the things that I say to everybody, and this is not just about dating, this is about job searching, whatever, is you have to be honest with yourself.
Very.
There's so many times that I don't want to say we necessarily lie to ourselves, but we're not always completely 100 with ourselves about what our issues are, where we are, mentally, emotionally, financially. We try to make it pretty, and it's not always
it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
It's not. But you do have to be truthful.
Be honest with yourself. And sometimes, it flat out sucks.
It does.
Because you think you're like here, and I'm not saying it in a negative way, but just sometimes you have a little bit more work to do than some of us would like to acknowledge.
Yep. So definitely when you're dating, go into being truthful with yourself, being honest. And I think when you're truthful with yourself, it's easier to be honest with the other person.
Exactly.
You don't have to wear this facade, because for a fact I'm not perfect, and the person that I'm trying to get to know isn't going to be perfect either.
Exactly.
And if it's nothing that are, like your hard nose, I think, if you can be honest with that person, if you can be honest with each other, it'll make your relationship a whole lot easier. Your budding relationship a whole lot easier.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And when you establish boundaries with yourself, then you can establish boundaries with others.
True.
Healthy boundaries.
True. Healthy boundaries. And those boundaries, we just talked about it on yesterday's show. Those boundaries that you establish help you with self-love as well. They help you with self-love. So being honest with yourself, creating healthy boundaries for yourself helps you create healthy boundaries with others.
Yes.
And you can have effective communication and an open, honest relationship, and you can roll from there. You know, you can save yourself from a whole bunch of headaches.
Absolutely. And the last thing I would say on that is to also be okay with your preferences.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people try to make you feel guilty about your preferences. And I'm not talking about like petty stuff. I'm talking about like real things that can make or break your relationship. You know, if you prefer to date somebody who has a college degree, be okay with that.
Okay with that.
You know, don't let somebody judge you for that. Or if you prefer, you know, someone who loves to travel because that's a passion of yours. Be okay with that. Yeah.
Because you don't want to get stuck in a situation where you like the person, but you don't like the things that they do. You know, you like to travel, he doesn't, and you're stuck most of the time, you know, at home. You're going to have a miserable life and a miserable relationship.
Exactly. And I've done that before.
Yeah.
Because I let people make me feel like I was being, you know, bougie or I was being whatever. Yeah.
No, and that's another thing as well. Like, a lot of people, they're not going to be in your relationship, you know.
That part.
When it's all said and done, they don't have to go through the relationship. You do. So you have to make sure that you are doing something that you like and not to please everybody else. Yes. Very good. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that. All right. So social media of randomness, I guess we could talk about the whole coronavirus. What is it? COVID-19.
COVID-19.
I'm so tired of it already. And I feel like it just started, but I'm tired of it.
Yes.
I am. So we both talked, and we're both in education. She's in higher education. I'm in, you know, mid education.
Secondary.
Secondary, you know, I'm in secondary education. And so we're both out right now. We're going to have like an extra week out. And I get it. I do get it. I get the whole, you know, you don't want people to gather because that's the way things, you know, go back and forth and things move around. But I also remember, just to make you laugh, I remember telling my students when it first hit the scene, I told them, and I'm going to speak candidly, if you just wash your hands and wash your butt, you're going to be good.
Right.
Like, all we need to do is wash your hands, wash our butts, and don't touch your face. If you do those things, you're good. I mean, nothing beats good old soap and water.
But doesn't that make you a little bit concerned though? Because it's like hand washing is this new phenomenon. And it's like, people, what have you been doing?
What have you been doing?
This is why I don't touch rails and why I don't touch door handles and stuff. This is why.
I get it. Like I said, I work at a high school, and I remember just
kids.
My gosh, they are disgusting. I love them to death. They are nasty.
They're nasty.
And I'm like, who is raising you? Like, are your parents not?
Wait, pause. I'm gonna defend the parents real quick. Don't blame it on us.
Okay, I won't.
I have two boys, and I have taught them everything in the world.
I get it. But it's, I guess I can say this. I get kids, you know, I get high schoolers, but it's us grown folks. What are we doing? What are we doing?
What? Or not doing? I don't understand it.
Not been doing. And people get mad when I don't eat at potlucks. This is why.
I don't eat everybody's food. I'm sorry.
If I don't know you intimately, I'm not eating your food. I don't.
No, not when I've watched your life and I know that you are not. You know what the worst thing is? Is you watch somebody walk right out of the restroom.
Oh my gosh.
And not
they have
wash their hands.
Nothing. They just walk out like it's what they're supposed to do. Okay, so since we're talking about this, let's talk about things that you've seen in public or at your place of work, you don't, you know, or just period, that people do that are disgusting. And I'm gonna say this one thing. So we at a place I used to work, they would have potlucks, and I watched somebody. It was served buffet style, and I watched somebody at a vegetable tray lick all of their fingers and then pick up vegetables with their hands and put it on their plate. I said,
yeah.
Jesus, what?
Can't do it. Can't do it. Something that I've seen besides the walking right out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Somebody like blow their nose.
Yeah.
And like do the whole dig in it thing and stick the nasty napkin in their pocket.
Oh my
and
God.
Then touch stuff.
Oh my God.
Makes my throat close. Like,
horrible. I don't get it. Like, why don't people understand? You are nasty. I'm sorry. We touch things and we do and sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. You know, you try to be conscious, but if I'm gonna wipe my nose or blow my nose, I'm gonna reach for some hand sanitizer. Although you should still wash your hands, because there's nothing beats soap and water. I mean, I don't understand it. I think that's really what's getting me. Like, it's freaking me out, because I used to be a germaphobe. I've gotten better, but like I start to think about how many, like you said, how many handrails did I touch before I came home, or I went grocery shopping. I touched the handle of the little buggy before I could wipe it down. I touched the handle.
Yeah. So do you and I can already tell the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, please do.
Are you able to take food and drinks into the bathroom? Like if you have leftovers from the restaurant, do you take it in the bathroom with you?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I can't.
I can't do it.
I can't.
I can't do it.
Okay, and I was a biology major in college, so I know, like, when you flush a toilet, water splashes, and that is disgusting. It's nasty.
Yes, I just imagine in my mind's eye, like all these little particles in the air
and going right on my water bottle or my.
Yes, I can't. Can't do it.
I can't. So guys out there, just be healthy. Do the things you're supposed to do.
Please.
It's not hard to wash your hands and wash your butt. It really is.
If you don't care about yourself, care about us.
Care about us. Care about your children. Like, you don't want your children to get sick. And that's what's so scary. Wash your hands and your butt. Just do it. That's my whole takeaway from all of this. I don't understand why we can't do that. I don't.
It's a great PSA.
Right?
It's a great PSA.
Wash your hands and your butt.
I approve.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on from there. And, I wish everybody the best, and I pray health over everybody's house.
Yes.
Let's move on to confession time. So I want to focus on your book. And and I swear I love it. I just love the premise of it, because I really do feel we push so hard now it's getting a little bit better. People are starting to understand it's okay to be single. But like you said, you need to learn how to be successfully single.
Right.
So let's and the whole alone but not lonely. I like that too. So let's talk about it. So what does that mean for you to be alone but not lonely?
So that has so much, packed into it. I mean, of course, the obvious overhanging meaning is knowing how to be by yourself, but not feel, sorrowful or sad or that kind of thing, just because you're not in the company of someone else.
Right.
But when I dig deeper into that, for me, that meant being secure. It meant being able to be content, not complacent, but content, and being focused on being focused on me. Most of the time people think, it's like I'm focusing on me, that you're being selfish. And it's like, no, I'm actually really being thoughtful.
Right.
Because if I get me together, then my friendships are better, my family relationships are better, my dating relationships are better. And so being able to be alone in a healthy way is what I'm focusing on.
Very, very much so. Very much. So how do you think, you just touched on it. So how do we get to just being let me say this, being alone in a healthy way? Like, what do you, if you had to tell somebody what that really looks like, you just said, dealing with your own issues, but how would you go about doing that?
There's several things that I would say. One of those things is time.
Yes.
Like, just taking time. Don't rush it. Need more work than others.
Yeah.
And don't do it based on someone else's clock or somebody else's expectations of you.
Yeah. Do it because you want to do it.
Right. So taking time to find yourself, and whether that takes a month, whether that takes a year, like just be okay with that.
Right.
I would also say during that time, you're not just sitting and, like, okay, well, I'm not dating anybody, but really figuring out what makes you tick, figuring out what you have a passion for.
Right.
Also, and I think we touched on this just a little bit earlier, figuring out what you can offer to another person. Because so often we're talking about, what the other person needs to bring to the table. What are you bringing to the table?
What are you bringing to the table? What do you feel like you have to offer? And it's that whole truth, Lord. You got to be truthful with yourself.
Right.
You can't, just because you live by yourself and, you take care of yourself, that doesn't always mean, you have good financial literacy. Because you're by yourself, you have extra. So, you can make sure, oops, I messed up here, but I got a little cushion here. So let me throw that. But that doesn't mean that that's a positive thing. Just when you're by yourself, you can do it. You have to look at it from a standpoint, if I'm married or, when I get with somebody, what is this going to look like? Because, y'all can't both have a oops moment, and
y'all homeless.
Yeah, y'all homeless, right? Or, things happen that are hard. Life happens and you're like, goodness, what are we going to do? And you have to be truthful with yourself with that. Like, can I handle, emergencies well?
And one other big thing that I would say is determining if a relationship is even what you want.
True.
There's so many expectations out there, especially if you're a woman, especially a woman like of my age. I'm mid-40s. And so it's this, oh, well, why aren't you, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you? And then, but you have to look at yourself and say, well, do I really?
Is this even what I want to do?
Even what I want to do anymore, And that's okay too. And that's okay if it's like that. It's not a bad thing. So I love that. I do, because people get into this whole, I don't want to talk about it, but they get into the whole, I gotta have somebody. No, you don't. You can have yourself and be okay. And if you, the whole being alone, if you're comfortable in your aloneness.
And it's okay to have platonic friendships.
It is.
The opposite sex. Like, you don't have to date everybody that you meet.
And that's so true. Everybody that you meet is not meant to be your partner. It's not. You have to make that's a judgment call. You have to make that a judgment and know that. Oh, that's really good. Okay. Now this is about, being single now. Since, you've done the work, you've been successfully single, and, when you're successfully single, and I can say this happened to me, and you start healing yourself and being truthful with yourself, your light starts to shine a little bit brighter. So you start attracting,
Girl, tell me about it.
Yes, you start attracting people because they're looking at you like, oh, that's kind of what I want, and this, honest to God, it happened to me. I started, being comfortable in my singleness and working on myself. And my husband saw me and said, "Ooh, that girl right there, that's what I want." Mm-hmm. But even when you get with a partner, you still have to be content with yourself. So how would you continue to stay in that whole, I am content in who I am. I am mm-hmm. content in what I am. Even if something happens to him, I'm still okay. So how could you continue to stay in that state?
I would say going back to the things that you did to get to that point. So mm-hmm. once you found that purpose, and you may have multiple purposes, you may have multiple passions, mm-hmm. Continuing to do those things. And right. So that's part of the reason why it's so important for you to do it on the front end, mm-hmm. because if it's the right person, then they're going to support you and encourage you in doing those things. Right. So there shouldn't be a reason that, let's say, for example, me writing books, mm-hmm. that I'm doing this when I meet you, but then for some reason I stopped doing it when I've met you. Well, if you're the right person for me, you're going to be asking me, well, babe, are you writing? What
are you doing?
Towards your, or, are you promoting your book? How can I help you? Mm-hmm. And so figuring out that passion, that purpose, walking in it, and then making sure that when you decide that you are going to be with someone, that it's somebody that can lend and help with that purpose, and also who has a purpose of their own. Let's start with that.
Exactly. That's a big one. Like when those people start, becoming attracted to your light, a lot of them ain't, they just attracted because some of them ain't got it. Exactly. So they're like, maybe if I get with her or I get with him, mm-hmm. that'll rub off on me. But if you don't have a purpose before mm-hmm. I get with you, there's nothing I can do with you, because I know what I need to do for myself and to build myself. Yeah.
And I would also say, to stick with that, to stay in that place, is to surround yourself with people who are good for you.
Yes.
So whether that's, I know that I can have a tendency to, like, I get in my tunnel vision. I'm working. Mm-hmm. So I need those people who are going to be like, girl, let's, go have fun. And that doesn't mean, going to the club or that kind of thing, but just whatever is fun to us, mm-hmm. Who's gonna, make me laugh and things like that. Like, that's good for me.
Right. That gives you a good release. Mm-hmm. Not a bad distraction, but like they understand, hey, she working too hard. Let's pull her away real quick. Let's balance a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So definitely being aware of who's in your circle.
Yeah, that's
super important.
Super big. And you must you have to figure them out. I like to do a little investigation. Friend, boyfriend, whatever, man, husband, wife. You always have to do that behind the scenes investigation to see who they really are, and if you want them to walk up closely with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would also say, and this is a hard thing that a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's so valid and so important, is sometimes you have to prune people who are already in your life.
That's true too.
And we don't want to do that because, of our loyalty or the love that we have for those people. But I don't remember if it was my pastor who said it, but they basically, the point was, everybody can't go with you where you're going.
They can't. That's true.
And so sometimes we have to look at, is this person really good for me?
Yeah, for me right now at this point where I'm at.
Or even where I'm going.
Yeah, that too.
If I know that this is a person that this is the type of stuff they like to do, or maybe they're a very negative person and you're trying to get to a place where you're being more positive and whole, is that somebody that is going to be able to help you, or is it going to be a constant
back and forth? That whole battle. Because if you do that, that drains you. That whole battling all the time, it drains you, and you don't. You'll get to the point where eventually you're going to drop them anyways.
Yeah.
Because if you have healthy boundaries set up, that's not, you can't. It can't move on with you. It can't grow with you. So.
Yeah, and that goes back to the big point that we talked about, at the very beginning and a couple of times since then. You gotta be honest.
Gotta be honest
with yourself.
Yeah.
You gotta be. And again, what do we say? Sometimes it sucks.
Sometimes it sucks. It's not easy to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we like to paint a picture like, oh, girl, I got it going. No, you don't. You really don't. I make it, you know what's funny? Like even now, I make it a point to where I do a self inventory on myself to say, okay, girl, these are the things that you did good this month.
Yeah.
And these are the things that you didn't do so good this month, you know, and let's focus on this. Let's focus on fixing this. And, you know, because it helps with your self-awareness. You don't get to build this big picture, whether you think too highly of yourself or even too lowly of yourself, too low of yourself. Like it'll help you give like a nice, happy medium. So I think that's really good.
And that's so good to do, to do that self-assessment and even adjustment in the moment. You know, I think some people think that if you're rolling a certain direction, you got to just keep going with it. And it's like, no, it's okay to, you know, what was that movie? Get Out. Remember how homeboy was running?
He was and he turned that corner.
Yeah, like it's okay to do that.
It is. It really is. Because if you stay on a path, it's just destruction, or you'll get frustrated because it's not working. And it's enough things in life that'll frustrate you. Why do it to yourself? Why do it to yourself? Oh, that was amazing. All right. So hashtag lessons learned. What do you feel you want, the message that you want from this talk? What do you want the last thought to be?
The last thought would be tap into your power. Tap into the power that is you. Like you literally have everything in you that you need. You just have to tap into it. You just have to stop, take an inventory, figure out what is it that I want from my life.
Right.
You know, if you're a person who prays, pray about it. And just like tap into your power, and you will be so surprised how amazing you are if you don't realize it already. But I would say just tap into your power because it's in there.
It is. We all have that thing. We all have gifts that God gave us. But it's up to us to cultivate those gifts. If we don't cultivate those gifts, they're going to be stagnant, and it's going to be like the man in the Bible, the parable, who, you know, each one got their talents, and the one with one talent buried his, but he ended up losing it anyways. Like we don't want to be that man. We do not want to be that man. God gave us things to do for a reason, and we just have to get out of our own way and make it possible.
And stop being afraid.
That too.
It's okay.
It's okay. And you'll fail. You know, failure happens. It's just a way to grow and move on. Grow, learn, and move on. Failure is necessary in life.
Absolutely.
All right. So tell the people once again where they can find you. Make sure you show them your book again, because I want them to see your book. That is her book. Make sure you get her book. The information will be in the show notes as well. And then her website it's going to be in the show note, but it's thepurposepromoter.com. Is that correct? Yes, thepurposepromoter.com. And it is a beautiful website, girl. You got to do it.
Thank you. I did that myself.
All right. See, that's that talent that we got in us. We just got to cultivate it. It is gorgeous. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. I really do. And guys, if you're still, for all my listeners, thank you for tuning in and watching. You will see this on my website. So the show will be on the website, confessionsfromaraecouch.com, and you can catch it on all major listening platforms. And then her link, like I said, once again, will be in the show notes and on the blog page on my website, confessionsfromaraecouch.com. Make sure you tune in next week, and stay safe. And my thing to take away is wash your hands and your butt. Bye, guys. When looking for catering options, you should prefer chef-prepared, restaurant-quality food with full customizable menu. All or None Catering is the company for you. All or None Catering specializes in Southern cuisine as well as steakhouse, French, American, Creole, and Cajun cooking. All or None Catering will also be relaunching its meal prep options via their Fit Life, Food Life menu that will be available for delivery throughout most of the Houston metropolitan area. For catering quotes or any questions, contact All or None, NUNN Catering at allornonecatering@gmail.com. Make sure to like the Facebook page, All or None Catering, to stay up to date on all of your catering options. The link to the Facebook page and the email address will be in the show notes. Make sure you check out All or None Catering to meet all of your catering needs.